It has become an opinion of mine that the NRL need to revamp the current recruitment system. Over the past decade or so, we have seen so many examples of why the current system is broken and why it is bad for both clubs and players. And our clubs and players are both able to use the current recruitment system to their advantage and break contracts. We see it all the time, and every year players are switching clubs in the middle of the season. Players are breaking contracts, clubs are breaking contracts, and it just doesn't work. So basically right now, the recruitment system works as if you are off contract, the year before you can negotiate for your new contract. So Josh Addo-Carr, let's use him. He's off contract at the end of 2021. Now, before November 1st of 2020, he can actually talk with other clubs, but come November 1st, he is allowed to negotiate with other clubs. And, he's signed in December, I think it was. So Josh Addo-Carr signs in December for the Canterbury Bulldogs for 2022, a whole year after he has signed the contract. In what other sports leagues does a player make a commitment to a club a year in advance of signing with them? It doesn't make any sense, and if you were to tell any other sports fan, like an NFL, an NBA, or whatever, they would just be bamboozled that this actually happens. And we see so many times that, it hasn't happened yet, but look at Matt Burton. He did the same thing as Josh Addo-Carr. He's off contract at the end of 2021, but from November 1st of 2020, he was able to negotiate and he signed with the Dogs. Trent Barrett has been in contact with Ivan Cleary non-stop trying to figure out how to get Matt Burton to the Bulldogs, because it makes sense. Right now, Burton's playing centre, but at the beginning of the year, he was only ever going to play first grade if Luai Cleary, touch wood here, didn't get injured. And now Burton has played well enough to earn a start in this side, but as soon as Edwards comes back, he's gone again. And he's only going to stay in there because Momirovski's out too, and Naden because of his cocaine suspension. But as soon as they have a fit side, Burton's going to be in reserve grade when he could be at his long-term club, the Dogs, and helping the Dogs actually win some games while they look destined for the wooden spoon. What other sports leagues do players make commitments to clubs that they're not even at? It just bamboozles me. And we see so many times, look at the Tigers, Ryan Madison, Josh Alloway, bloody Paul Momirovski. How many times do these players, not even in their contract year, are able to just say, I don't want to play, and get out of their contracts with the clubs, and that hurts the clubs. And clubs do the same. They make these players leave, they just tell them to go away without even, helping them out at all. It's both. Both clubs and players exploit the current recruitment system for their better advantage, and it's wrong. No other sporting league is like this. The NRL's contracts are dumb, and it's all because we're so old-fashioned. The fact that we are still talking about loyalty is dead in sports. It is to a degree, but look at Adam Reynolds, local junior, won a premiership with them for the first time in 50 years. Their first NRL premiership. And he's been treated like dog. They're not even offering him, they've offered him a 2-year deal in the club's option. That is horrendous. There's no loyalty in that because sports has become one of the most important industries and biggest money makers on the planet. The NRL is a small business compared to NFL, NBA, and yet the NRL still generate nearly $1 billion a year. That's just how much money is in sports these days. People keep living in the past. Sports need to change, and the NRL's recruitment system needs to change. We need a free agency period and a trading system. That would fix everything. For the free agency system, let's just use November 1st. So let's say Adam Reynolds right now. Paul Reynolds is so distracted. He's not going to come in the media and say it, but Clinton Gutherson at the beginning of 2019, he had all these negotiations with both Manly and Parramatta. He obviously signed with Parramatta, and the following off-season came out and said, yes, it was a distraction. I wasn't playing my best footy this year. I'm focused on my best footy because he's not distracted because he doesn't have a club. And now, the year after, in 2020, he goes into the year saying that he's not distracted anymore, and he's the Dally M fullback of the year. You think Adam Reynolds isn't distracted right now? The Rabbitohs are the second favourites to win the comp behind the Panthers, and yet their halfback, the most important player on the team, is distracted because the Rabbitohs don't even want him anymore. The NRL needs to implement a free agency period and keep November 1st, because obviously the season from October, it runs through the grand final, then we have international competition. So November 1st is a good date. So let's say Adam Reynolds, he's off contract at the end of 2021. From November 1st this year until like round 10 next year, he can sign a new deal and he doesn't have to commit to somewhere and then spend the rest of the year at the Rabbitohs. Chad Townsend, he just signed to the bloody Cowboys from the Sharks. You're telling me Todd Payten right now isn't trying to ring Craig Fitzgibbon or whoever, trying to get Chad Townsend to the Sharkies immediately? They'd be offering him everything. Same with Jake Clifford. Adam O'Brien wants Jake Clifford at the Knights because of their heavy injury toll, and he's committed to the Knights. But Todd Payten's not going to give him anyone because why would he? Jake Clifford's going to leave. Why would I give, It's just ridiculous at this point. It should just be a matter of if you're off contract as of November 1st, like any other sports leagues. So we'll go back to Adam Reynolds. Adam Reynolds, right now, he's off contract November 1st. He should be able to be like talking to the Rabbitohs and whatever because that's his current club. But come November 1st, he has not got a contract for 2022. He's not committed to anywhere. He can go travel, talk to clubs, take meetings outside of an NRL season and see where his future lies. Same with all these clubs. That way, let's get back to Chad Townsend. Chad Townsend right now is what, on 500, 600k? I don't actually know, obviously. But let's say he's on that. Because he's leaving the Cowboys, when he comes back, Sean Johnson will probably play halfback, and Chad Townsend will be dropped in reserve grade to make room for Sean Johnson, because they're not dropping Kennedy, and it makes sense, because Townsend's not going to be there long term. Not only is that bad for Townsend, because the Cowboys would love to have him, but that's 500 grand in the salary cap for a guy who's never going to be at the club next year that you could buy a new player with. The Sharks could have signed Matt Burton, probably not, but they could have gotten Matt Burton and he could be playing there right now with the money that Chad Townsend is taking and probably going to be sitting in reserve grade because that's how clubs work. As soon as you're not loyal to clubs anymore, they bugger you off. Even when you are loyal, like Reynolds, they're still going to bug you off. And players aren't loyal either. Josh Maguire whinged at the Cowboys to get out of his contract. At least that's what it sounded like from the media. Obviously, we don't know. But Josh Maguire was so keen to get out of the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were so keen to get rid of Josh Maguire, that the Cowboys are now paying a salary to the Dragons for Maguire to play for a different club. That's how ridiculous this is. That is how the NRL recruiting system works right now. There should be two revamps. So, November 1st to, let's say, round 10. Free agency. An NRL player is off contract. They can negotiate with whoever they want and sign a contract. And then come another November 1st, they're off contract again. That should just be how it works. You don't have to commit to a new club. And then we don't have to have all these, we want him a year early, but we're not going to give you anything. You pay a portion of your salary. Screw that. You can get rid of that. That's what the trading system for. Now, there's obviously already some sort of trading system because we saw Dane Laurie Momorowski swap. Obviously, Maloney and Moylan a couple of years ago, they did a trade. But let's just use the Dragons and Cowboys for example again. The Cowboys are paying Josh Maguire to pay for the Dragons. So they're both registered. Let's say Maguire and Muller on a combined salary of 600k. And they have $1 million left in the salary cap, and they're training with the Dragons. The Cowboys could give Molo and Maguire, because Molo's signed with the Dragons and committed to the Dragons, and there's all these reports saying Molo's going to be let go a year early, because of course there are. Send Maguire and Molo to the Dragons, and the Cowboys in return, let's say Todd Payten wants, Josh Kerr and Blake Laurie. If all four contracts are under the salary cap, and the Cowboys are willing to take on the salaries, and the Dragons are too, why can't they just do a direct swap? Now, everyone's going to say that, it's unfair, you can't tell these players not to blah, 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 blah. Well, then add in a rule then. All players involved have to commit, Let's say Maguire and Moller, they're going to the Dragons, so they want to go anyway. If Laurie and that don't, then don't. Another example, Ivan Cleary cleared out the roster, which has turned out to be a good move, but he sent RCG and Wagga Blake to the Eels. Now, the Eels have some guns, right? So let's say, Panthers, Eels were like, we will take Wagga Blake and RCG. If the Panthers were like, all right, we'll take Michael Jennings and Junior Paulo, for example, then do the trade. If it all fits under the salary cap and all players are keen, do that. But the main thing is the committing to long-term breaking contracts. Just have a free agency period from November 1st to round 10 the following year. A player is off contract, their contract expires at the end of October of 2021. Then from November 1st, they're allowed to sign a new contract till round 10. And then once round 10's up, they're a free agent, which means they can sign him anyway. So just November 1st, you're off contract and you can go out. If you're Adam Reynolds, you can fly to Townsville, go to Brisbane, go meet with everyone, and you can make the decision for yourself so that you're not dealing with all this contract stuff while you're out there trying to win a bloody premiership. The trading thing also makes sense to me. I think there's already some sort of trading system in the NRL, but it's so confusing. At the end of the day, we just need clubs and players to stop breaking contracts. That's sort of the problem, because there's so many examples of that. And then obviously I just find it bamboozling that clubs pay players to pay for rival clubs. Like you're seeing Wagga Blake and RCG right now are being paid by the Panthers to play the Eels when they literally could have gotten something in return and everyone would have been happy. Look, at the end of the day, as long as everything fits under the salary cap, the NRL is just going to continue. But we need a free agency period and we need a trading system. Guys, I hope this video makes sense. I know it's a lot of business sort of stuff and there's a lot of money involved, so if you don't understand it, I apologise. But let me know if I did make sense. Let me know if you think the recruitment system needs to be revamped. Yeah, so smash that like button and subscribe for more.